Hello and welcome to this pre-recorded feedback event for the June 2015 BTEC Level 2 Firsts NQF in Travel and Tourism. Feedback on June 2015 External Assessment Unit 1, the UK Travel and Tourism Sector. To help you get the most out of this feedback, you may want to have these documents handy, as we will refer to them during the session. This includes both of the question papers and mark schemes, which will be used throughout this presentation. Here are the aims and objectives of our session today. You will receive feedback on performance of learners. Consider questions where significant numbers of learners underperformed and possible reasons why. Discuss the lead examiner's report. Consider delivery strategies and share good practice. Address common issues. Find out about further support available. Please open the unit specification document for Unit 1. Content. There are 3 learning aims for the unit as follows. A. Understand the travel and tourism sector and its importance to the UK economy. B. Industries in the travel and tourism sector. C. Understand the role of consumer technology in the travel and tourism sector. You will see each learning aim is then subdivided into different topics, which indicate aspects to be covered in teaching and learning. The exam questions are designed around the topics given for each learning aim. Skills knowledge tested. The straightforward questions test basic understanding of the content of the specification, such as types of travel, definitions, roles of organisations. More complex questions require learners to apply their knowledge and/or show understanding of different and unfamiliar situations or scenarios. Questions therefore have different levels of demand as appropriate for this qualification and are designed to discriminate between ability levels of the learners. Structure of assessment. There are 50 marks available and the exam lasts 1 hour. Some questions may include a scenario or stimulus information, image, data, and learners should be prepared for these and know how to use the information presented. The question paper contains a number of different types of questions, involving multiple choice questions and multiple response questions, as well as one-word answers, short answers, and medium response questions. In addition, there will always be one extended writing style question that targets higher level skills such as evaluation and analysis. If you look at the June 2015 question paper and those from the previous series, you can see that the MCQ and MRQ and the questions requiring a one-word or short answer are testing straightforward knowledge of the content of the specification. This includes understanding of the content terms and specialist language used by the travel and tourism sector. Let's now look at the question paper and mark scheme. In both 1A Part 2 and 1A Part 3, those learners who were familiar with the abbreviations scored well. These examples show the learners had some idea, but knowledge was not embedded. Examiners were looking for the precise wording. Some who were completely unfamiliar with VFR did have a go, and some very creative suggestions were seen that sadly did not gain marks. Although of course guesswork is always good practice rather than leaving an answer blank. In question 1A Part 4, an example of specialist travel for conservation was provided within what is known as the stem of the question. This response gained both marks with 2 appropriate examples. Those learners that did well clearly understood what conservation was and had possibly studied examples of conservation holidays in class, when looking at topic A2 and specialist travel in particular. The reasons some did less well was largely due to a lack of knowledge or understanding of travel for conservation. Perhaps they knew the word or type of travel, but did not understand what conservation actually is and could not give an example. Many confused responses were seen. In the first example here, the responses are more about humanitarian aid, and in the second, other types of specialist travel are given, perhaps again guesswork. Another issue was observed in that some rewrote the stem and substituted Borneo with a different country, and gave an endangered animal, for instance rhino or tiger. These did not score. The straightforward short response questions and the multiple choice and multiple response questions in June 2015 were 1A Part 1, 1A Part 2, 1A Part 3, 1A Part 4, 1B, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 4B. Here is a summary of why learners did well on these. Let's now look at a different type of question. Question 3B was a question requiring a medium-length response. A brief scenario was provided from Learning Aim C, the role of consumer technology, giving details of a virtual tour in a hotel. The question was testing learners' understanding of this type of technology for a hotel. Some basic application of knowledge of advantages and disadvantages was required. 2 marks were available for each disadvantage. In this example answer, 2 disadvantages are clearly identified. In the first, it is about the tour being out of date, leading to complaints, and in the second, this is about the technology itself, which may be incompatible with more modern software, leading to a poor image and potential loss of bookings. Learners that did well recognized that there were 2 marks available for each disadvantage and therefore needed to make 2 points. So they gave 1 point where they identified the disadvantage, and the second point was the explanation. These learners also showed they could apply their knowledge of disadvantages to the hotel. One of the reasons many did not score well is that they gave the disadvantage that had been given in the scenario, as in the first example here. There is no evidence of understanding of what the disadvantage of each of these points actually is. Poor exam technique is also in evidence, as there is no attempt to give an explanation. Also, the learner should know that if 4 marks are available, more than 2 points in each example should have been made. Another common issue was where learners gave generic responses about technology or wrote about disadvantages to customers, as seen in the second example here. The other most common issue was those who did not seem to know what a virtual tour actually was, and these tended to give quite confused responses. Question 3B. Why learners did well. Summary. On this question, successful learners read the question carefully, understood what the command explain required, applied their knowledge to the scenario, offered a developed response where points made matched the marks available. Activity 1. Question 3B. Please use the mark scheme to decide how many marks you would give this response and why. The answer is given on the next slide, so please pause the video at this point to carry out the activity. Answer, Activity 1. Overall, this response gained 2 marks, 1 mark for each disadvantage. Let's look at how and where the marks were awarded. You will see in the second response a mark has been awarded for the explanation and development of the disadvantage, even though no marks were awarded for the identification of the disadvantage. Please refer to the lead examiner's report for further clarification and example responses. So, we have already seen with question 3b that many learners are not scoring as well as expected on the questions worth 4 marks with the command explain. In this section, we will look at 2 more questions in which many learners struggled to achieve marks. These are question 5 and question 7b. If we look at question 5 on the question paper, it requires 2 benefits for customers of booking holidays through ABTA member travel agents. This question was testing knowledge of ABTA membership. Here is an example of a response that gained full marks. It is clear from the response that the learner understands ABTA membership and refers to protection and dealing with complaints. Each benefit to the customer is linked to an aspect of ABTA membership. One of the reasons many did not score well is that they did not seem to know about ABTA membership and wrote about advantages of booking with travel agents in general, as seen in the first example here. Confusion over what ABTA is also was evident in many responses seen. In the second example answer, the first benefit gained a mark, but is weakly expressed and there is no development or explanation. The second benefit, good company, shows limited knowledge, although a mark was awarded for understanding of the idea of protection. Other reasons for low scores were repetition of benefits and responses about holidays being insured, again suggesting the role of ABTA is not well understood generally. Question 5. Why learners did less well? Summary. On this question, less successful learners did not know about the specific roles of ABTA. Wrote about travel agents and not ABTA membership, they had misread the question. Gave a valid benefit for customers, but did not develop their answer to provide an explanation. They did not make the link to ABTA membership. Repeated the benefit for customers. For instance, by giving 2 different examples of repatriation rather than 2 distinct benefits. Confused ABTA with insurance. Activity 2, Question 5. Please use the mark scheme to decide how many marks you would give this response and why. The answer is on the next slide, so please pause the video at this point to carry out the activity. Answer, Activity 2, Question 5. Overall, this response gained 3 marks, 2 marks for the first benefit and 1 for the second. Let's go through the response to see where and why marks were awarded. It is clear here that the learner has attempted to answer the question fully and in a structured manner by providing some link or expansion and making more than 1 point in each. Please refer to the lead examiner's report for further clarification and example responses. Question 5. Why learners did well? Summary. On this question, successful learners gave the benefit and then offered an explanation linked to ABTA membership, i.e. developed response where points made matched the marks available. Wrote clearly about customers and ABTA travel agents. Used appropriate vocabulary. Please refer to the lead examiner's report for further clarification and example responses. Question 7b was a challenging question aimed at the higher level learners. Question 7 had 2 parts, A and B, and the first part of the scenario gave learners information about 2 different types of tour operators and their customers, and then in the stem before question 7b, some information about a merger. In this answer, it is clear the learner understands about mergers. In particular, the second benefit shows good use of the scenario where they have considered all the information provided with regards to different customers and markets. As seen in question 3b, good technique is demonstrated in the structuring of the response. The learner knows to make 2 points for each reason. the learner first gives a reason linked to the merger and then provides some development or expansion which links to why this is having a negative effect on customer care. One of the reasons that many did not score well is that their understanding of mergers was limited, and without a good foundation, they really struggled to apply to the scenario. Some thought the two types of customers would be on holiday together, and this would lead to complaints. This misunderstanding of mergers between tour operators and misreading of the question customer care was seen in a significant number of responses. Some perhaps did not grasp what customer care is, although this disadvantage is given in the specification. In the first example, the first response is not related to customer care. In the second, wider customer base is an advantage and was given in the stimulus for 7A. However, a mark was awarded for difficulty in meeting all customers' needs. In the second example, one valid reason is given, but there is no development of this to provide an explanation or link to the scenario. The second reason is not related to customer care. Question 7b. Why learners did less well? Summary. On this question, less successful learners did not understand what happens when two companies merge, had limited awareness of business functions in this case with regards to customer care. Many incorrectly wrote about reasons for customer complaints. Responses should have considered why the newly formed organisation may not be able to deliver good customer care. Did not expand on points made or offer a robust explanation worthy of marks available. Please refer to the lead examiner report for further clarification and examples. Question 8. Overview. The last question on the June 2015 question paper was the extended writing question. 8 marks were available. The question. Please refer to page 10 of the question paper. This question is quite different to the others. Learners were provided with some information and data relating to the 2012 London Olympic and Paralympic Games. This included visitor numbers and tourism spending. The question on page 11 required an evaluation of the importance of the Games to the UK economy. The question allowed learners to use the information, evaluate it, and produce a balanced response. Some planning would be expected. The mark scheme was also different. Rather than awarding a mark for a valid point, responses to question 8 were marked by levels. Please refer to the mark scheme. You will see there is indicative content. This gives an idea of the likely content of the responses, the positive and negative impacts that could be considered from the information provided, and the learner's knowledge of the economic significance of travel and tourism. The mark scheme also shows the levels descriptors. Examiners marked the responses holistically and judged how many marks to award based on matching the response to the levels descriptors. So, for instance, if the response did not relate to the information provided or the UK economy and was mainly descriptive as opposed to evaluative, it would be judged to be a level 1 response. There are 3 marks available, 1 to 3. Where there are some attempts to apply and evaluate, marks at the top of the level, i.e. 3 marks, would be appropriate. There are some example responses on the next slides, with information of how marks were awarded. Many learners performed quite well on question 8, and scores were higher than in the last series. The main reason some learners didn't score as well as they might was largely because the responses were descriptive and relied on quoting the data. In the example here, there is no real interpretation beyond explaining different types of tourism. Examiners were looking for development and reference to economic impacts. Here, there is reference to jobs and money. This is a typical level 1 response and gained 2 marks. There is little understanding evident. Question 8. Why learners did less well. Summary. On this question, less successful learners described the information given, did not know how to evaluate, so did not consider positive and negative impacts of the data provided, did not focus on the UK economy, wrote about jobs and money in generic terms. Some may have run out of time and gave a list of points. Please refer to the lead examiner report for further clarification and examples. Please pause the presentation to give yourself time to read this response. Here, we can see there is more interpretation of the data provided and development of ideas. The learner has tried to evaluate and considers advantages and disadvantages. The response is focused on the UK economy and there is a conclusion. The response matches the level descriptor for Level 2 and was awarded Level 2 5 marks, as there are no key weaknesses or strengths to move marks from the middle. Please pause the presentation and skip back to read the response on the previous slide. The example response on the previous slide was awarded Level 2 5 marks. This slide shows what was needed to be awarded marks in Level 3. Question 8. Why learners did well. Summary. On this question, successful learners used their own words and developed the points made, used their knowledge of the economic effects of tourism and applied this to the data supplied, made links and connected statements or judgments, this means or this is good because, to show higher level skills, planned the structure, introduction, effects, conclusion, considered advantages and disadvantages. Please refer to the lead examiner report for further clarification and examples. Use the mark scheme to decide how many marks you would give this response and why. The answer is on the next slide. Please pause the presentation at this point to carry out the activity. Please note, the square bracket symbol denotes a new paragraph. Overall, this response was placed at Level 3 and gained 7 marks. It was not awarded full marks as the conclusion is not fully justified. Looking holistically, the response is well written, ideas are clearly expressed, and a good level of understanding is apparent. The slide here highlights a couple of phrases that help to show where the learner has shown evaluation, interpretation, application, and balance. This slide summarizes some key observations and highlights where and why marks may have been lost by some learners. Some of these issues are easily addressed. The use of past papers and mark scheme in particular can help learners familiarize themselves with the exam structure, question structure, etc. Hopefully, from looking at some responses and going through the issues this series, you may already have some ideas on delivery strategies and best practice. Those that are perhaps key are highlighted here. 1. Crucially, as mentioned at the start, as the question paper is written around the topics in the specification, the teaching and learning of this is the foundation. Learners must be familiar with the language as well as the content. 2. Teaching and learning should not end with the specification, and the use of case studies, examples and visits will enhance the learning experience and consolidate learning. 3. Use the past papers and/or individual questions and set mock tests. Get learners to mark each other's work and understand how the mark scheme is used by examiners to gain a greater appreciation of why some learners do not do as well. 4. As seen on this paper, learners were asked to evaluate. They need to be prepared. Role plays, interviews, debates, and other activities are helpful to develop critical thinking skills. In addition, practicing planning the structure of the last question would be useful. That concludes the presentation of feedback from the June 2015 Unit 1 exam. The following slides indicate the support available.